All right, welcome everyone to another XAFers community stand-up. I know this month we were a little late, August 31st. We basically didn't want to skip August and we have been crazy busy. That's a good problem to have, but we didn't want to skip the meetup. We didn't have too much time to promote it. So, but I think that the topic is really nice. We're going to be talking about the roadmap, end of the year, what's coming, what is already there, and so on. As always, join our Facebook group. We are already, I believe, let's check it for a second, 3,120 members. So I'm really excited about how the group keeps growing and more people is starting to use SAF. We're a little bit over the official SAF page, so I'm proud of that. But please follow them as well. They have really good information. Actually, today they released a new topic about how to filter data at the grid level, and it has really nice explanation for Blazor, WinForm, WebForm, and so on. So a lot of great things coming there. Also, join the, if you are more in the LinkedIn side, join in the LinkedIn group. We have like, I think 3,000 as well members here. And actually there is a new video about a nice SAF community member project. And this is the place where we can actually see the things that we can achieve. You see, this is an IoT project that you integrate with sensors and you see with pictures, and you can even have an editor with code. So we have really, you see, really nice dashboards that are getting updated that you can move. So this is the power of things that we can achieve with SAF. So, and this is the place like the Facebook group, the LinkedIn group, our meetup or monthly meeting, like where the community can get together and share those and get you guys excited and see what we can do and share our experience and so on. Now, as always, follow SAF on Twitter. It's also another place where it shares a lot of good articles and everything that is coming and everything that we're building. And we got, this is our roadmap for the end of year 2023. As always, Hoche is here with me. I'm gonna let him introduce himself for anyone new that is starting to watch our series of videos. It's funny because our meetup was saying, hey, you scheduled your first event. Don't forget to share it on social media. And you scroll down and we have 41 past events. So that's once a month. It's not like a year has 52 weeks. So this is once a month. So a couple years we have been doing this already. So I'm really proud that we like barely have skipped any months ever. Hoche,
Okay,
please.
so yeah, hi everyone. My name is Hocho Ojeda. I work for Sari and Bit Frameworks, and we do SAP development 24/7. And as always, we want to share what we have learned in the last month and what we will be working on in the future. So I guess we're ready to start, Javier.
Yeah, we'll do. And just admitting Jean Paul is joining right now. All right. So we'll talk about what's coming in 23.2, end of year. We are really excited of everything that we have been using right now and everything that is coming. So basically, we'll starting saying like right now we have .NET 7 support. With .NET 7 support, I think that I can get it here in the group real quick because I wanted to mention that. There is an issue still with the system drawing. So basically, .NET 7 doesn't mean that you can use system drawing Common 7. So basically, it's still using system drawing 5.0. So if you run into that issue, make sure that you go back and keep the version of system drawing that one so you don't have any issues on your application. Having said that, .NET 8 is coming this November. And as they say here, the whole goal is to support .NET 8 right of the starting date. End of support for .NET Standard 2. Right now, I believe anyone who is starting .NET right now is not going to know the 2 million versions that we have about Mono, Net Framework, all the type of the version of Net Framework, then Net Core, and then the only 5, and now it's just .NET. So .NET 8 and PCL libraries, Net Standard. I forgot those. I wanted to say that as well. So right now they are ending support for Net Standard, but I think that's a good thing. We should focus on migrating to the latest one.
To be honest, Javier, I think that is a good thing that they're moving away from Net Standard, because that was a really good idea when you have like Net Core 2 and Net Core 3 like era, because you need to centralize everything and reduce everything to the minimum common denominator. But right now, the minimum common denominator should be something like Net 5, because that is actually fully cross-platform. So you can use Net 5, Net 6 as the lowest level, and then assume that everything else will just work, because that's Microsoft. It's the Microsoft part, right? They are, I mean, is their job basically to make sure that all the APIs are cross-platform. So I think that in order to get the most out of the code in general and to share the biggest amount of code, it's good to move away from Net Standard. Also, there is another reason that for the multi-targeting, you cannot compile Net Standard 2.1 and Net Framework 4.5, for example. That means that you have to take out the cross the projects that produce several assemblies. You need to take I mean, they will not support like Net Framework 4.51 or 2. So you can do that with Net 6, which is strange, but you cannot do it with Net Standard 2.1. So I guess it's a big advantage for Developer Express to move to Net 6 as the base layer, because otherwise the source code will look really ugly if not, because they will have to have some tricks to compile it. So I think that is a good way, a good thing that they are moving away from Net Standard. I think that that's kind of too old already.
Yeah, but I actually had a conversation with a XAFer for Argentina today, and she was saying that like they can still not allow them to move out of Net Framework 4.8, so they don't allow them to move yet to anything new. So I'm pretty sure there are a lot of enterprise, a lot of big systems out there that still have to have a lot of consideration that to move to any other Net Framework version.
No, and that's the goal of actually moving away from Net Standard, because if you move to Net 6, you can continue having compatibility with Net Framework, which is the full framework, the old framework that we all know. So yeah, but also there's one other thing, is that when you're in the bleeding edge all the time, like Net 5 seems super old for me nowadays. When I remember when Play Store came out, that just looked like something futuristic, and now it looks old for me, and I guess for a lot of other developers. So I guess you need to jump with both feet to Net 6 and then continue from there.
I agree. I also wanted to mention, going to the second point, that we were talking about, the DevExpress drawing library that is basically replacing completely system drawing. And of course, it breaks a little bit of conditional appearance, security, a few things. But getting outside of SAP for a second, Jose, I don't know if you remember the concept we did for a Maui application, for a Xamarin application, that for doing reports, we had to call a web service, let the web service in Net Framework do everything they need to do, send us the string for the PDF back, and then on our mobile application, present the report viewer, the PDF viewer with the SceneFusion control. And we had to do all these jumps to get that working. With Dev Express drawing now, that is heavily out of the dependence that it had with system drawing, and Mono didn't have it. So right now we can use our reports in Maui. And actually, let me just show here actually Blazor report, Blazor viewer report in Maui. And I think that, I don't know. And always remember, everyone, the Maui controls are free. Because one that I like as well was I know this is getting a little bit out of topic, but I wanna mention Net Maui year of end support. This is the first thing that we're seeing here, the PDF viewer control. So we are now able to send our reports there, show it there. So maybe it's because we spend so much time doing that I get excited, but a lot of great things also coming in the Maui side of things. All right, let's continue. Web API. One of the things that I like most about the Web API is that now you can create a method with the action attribute in your class, and that will be exposed to the Web API. One thing that I think that they need to find a best way to do is, there has been some internal discussion, is to make sure that we add an attribute or something that is only for the API and it doesn't show on the UI. Right now, if we use the action attribute, that will show in the UI everywhere the business object is, and it will also show in the web API. But what about if you don't want it to show in the UI, only in the web API? This will be a perfect place for a different attribute or some type of mechanism that expose it for us on the API without having to create custom controller or anything manually, but doesn't show in the UI. I never honestly like, and Jose, remember the first Solution One app, it had a lot of action attribute and that was showing everywhere. So when you don't want to show it, you have to be hiding in the model or deactivating for a view. That was just not, in my opinion, the best approach. I have never liked too much. I like to use that logic on the controllers. But if we could have those methods and hide it from the UI directly, that would be really nice.
To be honest, Javier, I never use it. Like, I know it works.
I know you don't.
But and also, like you said, the main problem, right? That once you put them like as action, I mean, you add the action attribute, then they will be everywhere, and you will spend more time hiding it than creating a controller if you were to save time creating controllers. So I think the best way is basically to put them in controllers. And for this case, for the API case, basically they just need to add an extra overload. Basically, you add a new parameter visible in, like with a enum, visible in UI, visible in API, or visible in both, and that's it.
Multi-tenancy. I'm dying to test this a little bit more. But basically, we have already our own multi-tenancy module that is hard sometimes to get out of our own habits. But I'm dying to test this a bit more. And I believe that now that it's going to come with XPO, because right now, before only supported Entity Framework, it will be the perfect moment to actually just give it a try and trying to do. This is a really, really interesting module for us because we do a lot of multi-tenancy with a tenant by database, all the tenants in a single database, and so on. So we want to see how this module behave, and then give you guys, probably, Jose, we could do just a bit of for multi-tenancy, just for going through all of that. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I don't like multi-tenants automatic database creation. I think that should not be, like, to have a separate tool to create it, and then after that they can switch to them. But that is a possibility that you have as well. Few more code diagnostics. So as always, those are nice. We did a meetup only on that, so that will help you like avoid issues. Sometimes they have been annoying, especially the one with association. And the other day they wasn't working for me. I have to suppress them, but most of the time they work really nice.
And Javier, just going back to the last point, not the diagnostics, but the multi-tenancy. Just in there are like I think that there are like 6 different cases or 5, something like that, like a single database, multiple database, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be, well, first it's something huge because it's something that most people do. First step, even with a brand new application, you work in the multi-tenancy part. And this can be a really pain depending on how you implement it. I remember in SAF 1 with Douglas, we implemented multi-tenancy. And basically we had to add filters with the security system to every place. It was filtered by roles. So you can do even that now at the moment, but kind of require a lot of code. And here there are so many cases to cover. So this is going to be a super interesting module. I think the most interesting module actually in a few years. So I guess, as you said, this can be 1 meetup or just 2 meetup to cover all the
Yeah, and right here, there are the cases that you're talking about. User associated to multiple tenant or just multiple tenant, but restricted to one at first until they get changed. Basically, you can see here all the choices that we have, and there are several, definitely. So I would like to see how when we have it on HBO, how fast can we get things going and how fast we can provide value to our customers. So let's see. Okay, now we got to Blazor. We all want to Blazor. A lot of great things here in Blazor. If you will see the picture already, inline actions. So that's a really nice one. Image for enumerations in column header filter. We're gonna have context menu. Best fit. I don't know if you guys have done this right now, but if you by mistake click best fit on your list view, your list view doesn't respect the size and it gets shrink down to the left. So right now, even if you move a little bit the model, everything gets starting to look weird. So this is a great thing that they are fixing that. Hyperlink for reference lookups to open the detail view. So this is a really nice one. Tooltips. So I'm really excited for all the grids because as we all know, the grids are a big part of our line of business application. The lookup property editor will get more love. I think that I don't see it here, but I saw it in one of the tickets. They will also improve the sorting. Right now, it's only sorting for the default property, so we're going to have that feature. And also here, searching against single and multiple fields and so on, so on. So criteria and more. This, it looks small, but I really like them. So, and I have to say, like, I was under the impression also that in Blazor, the immediate post data was doing nothing, but it seems they are changing that, and they are going to try to make the immediate post data attribute to behave closer to SAF window. Have safe and new pop-up window. This is something that it has been requested at least for us a lot. If you see here, I think that we have it right here. We have to implement it ourselves. So, but it's really nice if it comes out of the box. That way we don't have to be doing like the validation and commit changes and so on, so on. But this is really nice and this is working fine, but it's coming out of the box. Opening multiple pop-ups windows with drag and resize capability. That's really nice. We are right now, every pop-up window, depending of what we are putting inside, and especially if we are really customizing it, we have to specify the size, the width, and we are actually creating custom pop-up templates. So let's see. I know, and I put a ticket about that let's also put this here and this one here, just to show this too good. And let's come back to right here. I know that right now, and it's and that's the case. We only notice things when we actually need it. Until that point, I have never noticed this. But basically, if you have a pop-up like this one, and you're going to open another pop-up, if you see, it goes away quickly and then it comes back. So we have an app now that we have a bigger pop-up and we want to open a small pop-up on top of it without removing the other one because we want to see the same context that we are. And SAF doesn't have that because they actually have a pop-up component that is being used that basically is just taking and checking what is the last component and replacing that. So there is no easy way to change that. And I'm not sure if that's what they mean here, but at least the capability to resize the pop-up, make it bigger, smaller, and so on, that would be a really nice one. Support for filtering and dependent cascade, that this is really nice. And if you have done, like we all have, let's see, the egg grease, so we get the adapter, so then we get the model. Right now, we are basically going to say list editor grid model. So we're gonna be able to skip the adapter. Small usability, but I think that is nice. A scheduler module is coming as official release. We have been using it really heavily, and we of course have come up with a few limitations here and there, but we have been able to do, and hopefully, Hoche, we can get that customizations out of our current project because we have some NDA about it, but show it here with some demo project about the possibilities and the customization that we have done with the scheduler. So it's really nice. And if you see, have already a performance boost for last data set, status and label customization, but you can also customize vertical template, horizontal templates, timeline. So a lot of great things coming here in the scheduler model. Now, not sure if you guys have seen that with .NET 8, there is coming, I don't know if the name will stick, the Blazor United thing, though, where you can have the Blazor server, a Blazor WebAssembly hosting unified. And depending of the page and depending of where you are, you can use one or another one. And it's really neat because you can have a page that you need to be extremely fast, or you need to have them in your browser, and you can download the runtime from WebAssembly and run everything on WebAssembly. And then you have another page that basically you see that it kick off the Signalar circuit, and it's definitely using Blazor server. So a lot of great things coming there. I think that will make the thing of SAF starting to think where and how can they use that. I know they're not planning Blazor WebAssembly for now, but with the direction that things are taking, I think that at some point we will have a little bit of a hybrid or some places where we can reuse that possibility. So that's amazing.
And Javier, here is one really, I think that we are kind of really far away from SAF WebAssembly. It will take a few versions because WebAssembly needs to improve. And one of the first things that we talk about today is related to this. If they drop support for Net Standard and they move to Net 6 or above, it means that the Blazor applications can become smaller because the linker works better in Net 6 and above or 5 and above than in Net Standard. So that is kind of the first step to use one of the new hosting models. But still, there are a lot of problems with WebAssembly, like deserialization is kind of really slow, serialization and deserialization. So I think the part where SAF can use the new hosting models is basically to do server-side rendering, because you know that there is one of the hosting models that says, okay, all the page, instead of being rendered through SignalR, it can be rendered on the server side and just spit out the HTML. So those type of renders are faster. So I think that first we will go there and then we will jump to the WebAssembly version.
I agree. One thing that I forgot to mention when we were in the topic of pop-ups, I don't know if you guys had this issue, but we had it and it took us a bit to figure it out. So if I can help someone to avoid it, here we are. When we in the model, in the grid, use the customize element, let me try. And I don't think that in this project we have the CSS for all of the classes with all the CSS for all of this. So you see, you just make it a little bigger. The cursor is now a hand. So we were doing some customizations there. But the issue here basically is that if you see there was not loading indicator when we click, and if we click a pop-up, it will open the, like if I click 2 or click 3, you see, it opens as many times. And the issue there is that when we use the customized element, we basically remove the sub action class, and that is the one who prevents multiple clicks and so on. So basically, we need to, let's show here, we need to call and invoke the same parameter again, so we don't forget that, and that will fix it, and everything will be good too. That took us more time than we're proud of to say, but definitely, if it helps one of you guys, I will be happy about it, because that made us like every time that we were clicking a modal or everything was opening as many times, it was just a little bit confused, but just wanted to throw that out there. Now, let's continue. WIN forms, middle type, middle tier security for entity framework core. So you can read here is now, I think that is going to start coming by default, the middle tier with all the Windows project for security, and WIN form like the content security policy as well. So I want to ask to the team if you guys have any experience, any feedback, or any comments on everything that is coming. I'm excited about it. And Oche, if not, we can show a little demo as always about like the auto sign in, and we call it a day. We wanted to, it's a short one, but we wanted to at least not let the month pass by.
Yeah, if you want, let's do the demo. But before that we move to the demo, I would like to say that the middle tier is kind of really useful thing, especially because if you use it for entity framework, you have a remote context. That is something that is developer express only, that entity framework doesn't have like a counterpart on their side. And I think that can be really, really useful to never expose connections strings and things like that. Remember when we did the XPO web API that allows you to use a URL to connect by REST to the data store? So I kind of love that idea of the middle tier, and that you can use it also with entity framework. I was even thinking to create a entity framework provider for HTTP, but why? I mean, you have that already, and it's free, I think. I mean, at least you can use it with the free version of the web API. So that's a really cool thing to have. And well, let's go on to the small demo that we have here. Just let me get the screen ready. Let's share here. Okay, so let's go to team viewer. Oh, hold on. I think I got disconnected. Just 1 second. Okay. Okay, so basically what we wanted to do is an integration with Azure B2C and reviewing tickets. Before there was a different way to do this, but it's been changing through the time. So a few days ago, we bumped into this ticket that auto login was not working anymore. So the idea here is kind of really simple. Since Staff Blazor use ASP.NET Core as base, in there you can have middlewares. So once you have a middleware, you can intercept the request that you do to the server. So the idea here is, okay, let's add a middleware that allow me to sign in with some URL parameters. So this is the middleware in general. This is something that is .NET, is not too much related to SAF. So you create a middleware, which basically is a class that if you go and check the references, you only use it in one place. In here, after you add the use XAF, you add the middleware class like it, and this can be any middleware class in general. So if you go and check the implementation, what it does is once you send a request to the server, ASP.NET Core set the request through all the possible middlewares, and you catch it in a method and you decide, okay, I need to do this or that, or if it's not something that you will be able to handle, you just forward it to the next middleware. So in here, there is this method actually invoked that all middleware should have that will receive the HTTP context. So in here, what we do is we get the URL parameter of user ID, and if we have it, then we try to look for that user. We create an object space and without security, and then we look for the user. And if the user is allowed to log in by URL, then we continue and we create, with this code, we create the principals. So the idea is to get the IS standard authentication identity creator service. And with that, you create the claims. And with the claims, you can basically sign in, which is that part there. So let's run this and let's see how it works. So I'm going to run this. Okay, so here you can see the users, and there is an extra property in the users, like login by URL. So let me log off. So the idea here is that if I do a request to this URL, which contains in the URL, it contains the parameter user ID, and then we pass the OID of the user that should be logging in this case. What will happen is that here, the request was passed to the middleware. The middleware identified that, yet it contains the user ID parameter. Then it parsed the value of the parameter to a GUID. And then with that GUID, we create an object space and find the object. And then we verify if this user is allowed to sign in by URL. So this is the user. It's actually the username user in this case, and is allowed to log in by URL. So then we come to this other part. And we have created the identity. And to create the identity, you need to pass the user key, whatever that is. In this case, is the OID. So I convert it to a string, and then I pass that as user key and the username. And with that, you have the claim identity. So once you have the claim identity, you just create the principal and sign in. And then you have to, you need to stop sending this request to the other middlewares and just redirect to the root of the URL, which means the root of the application. So basically, this is the part that will sign in the user in code. So then let's run here. And there you go. You're able to log in by URL. And the parameters can be as complex as you want, or you can actually interact with other systems, like query other systems to know, okay, this user can log in or not. So, well, that was everything for this demo. And I guess we're ready to close.
Yeah, no, I really like that auto sign-in experience for a lot of like, basically a lot of authentications that are a little bit outside of SAF, like that we are not going to be using the login and the password from SAF. We're going to be using something else. And so we authenticate it someplace else, and then we just pass it to the middleware and go inside, making the UI that you want or any flow that you want. You create the user, you don't create the user, you allow them to auto login, you send them an email with a link, and they can go directly to the view that they want. So a lot of things there.
And to be honest, Javier, what I like about this approach is that you have your normal security system. You don't change it at all. You just add the middleware extra. So you can really stand the way that SAFs handle the login mechanism, and like to include something like B2C, like that's the purpose of this. But also for any other normal users, you will just have the normal authentication parameters, username and password, and that's continue to be there and protecting the application. So that's a really neat trick, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us always, Jean-Paul. Glad to have you here. Hopefully we do another one soon about Entity Framework Part 2. I'm excited about it. And we didn't have too much time to promote this one today, this week at all. So, but we didn't leave hours without XAFer community stand-up. So glad, happy for us. And as always, keep surfing and see you guys next month.
Bye.
Oche, take a picture. Right, please. Let's not forget about that. All right, you are on mute, but that's we got your
You hear the counting even.
exactly. Hey, you guys have a wonderful day. See you guys next month.
Bye.